I've been making a lot of content about Enchanted by Nature lately, and so today we're gonna do the exact opposite. We're actually gonna use pretty much every pack except Enchanted by Nature. I got a little bit carried away building a beach house. It's like 3 stories tall, it uses a million Sims packs, and so in this video I am gonna show you how I built it. Going into this, my plan was to build in Sulani and also to build sort of like a Cape Cod style beach house. I really like the look of this sort of house, but I wanted it to be a little bit more colorful than this. But this is kind of like our style reference. And then I spent way too long trying to figure out what lot I wanted to build it on, because I love Sulani and I love that you can build stuff on the water, and like literally on the water. You can build stuff halfway into the ocean, but I just don't know if this style of house really fits with it being on stilts above the water like that. So I was going back and forth a lot about where I wanted to build it, and then I ended up just coming right back to here on this 30 by 20 lot. So we're gonna build it on this one, but let's just get into the speed build and I'll kind of walk you through what I've built. Now, I did build this live on my Twitch stream first, so if you like the idea of watching this kind of thing live, I can link my Twitch channel down below. I play The Sims over there pretty much every single day, and I do a lot of building on stream. It's pretty fun because we get to have that live interaction from chat, and people can kind of like offer advice and suggestions and stuff. Although this build took me like nearly 4 hours to build on stream, which is a little bit different than me doing it in 20 minutes here in a YouTube video. So you get to watch me be indecisive live in real time. It's really, really quite something. And you can actually see the shape kind of coming together already. This is gonna be a really big house. It's like way too big for the size of the lot that it's on. It's only a 30 by 20 lot, and we're kind of missing a lot of space on the lot as well because so much of it is water. So I ended up making the house as wide as it could be. It fills up the entire lot horizontally. And then I went up a lot, so it ends up having a 3rd story as well, but the 3rd floor isn't as big. It's like a secret office sort of area on the top floor. There's a lot of balcony. We have a lot of big windows overlooking the water because with a lot like this, the view is so good. So we had to take advantage of it. And I was testing out a few things like this sort of wraparound front porch. I had like a little diagonal section. Sometimes you have to trust the process with these things a little bit because that isn't what I ended up keeping. We're gonna try and do something a little bit more like this with this sort of like barn shaped roof, but barn makes it sound bad. It is that kind of Cape Cod style to have this sort of roof shape. And so this is what I went with in the end. It's a little bit arched almost, and then it has like a sneaky 2nd and 3rd floor hidden inside of it. I was really going for vacation house with this build. Like in my mind, the Sims that lived here were extremely wealthy, and then this is like their second home on the water. So I tried to decorate it like a vacation house as well. I was kind of picturing like maybe they've got some extra guest rooms that the grandkids can stay in, but they're all kind of like neutrally furnished so that anybody could sleep in there pretty easily. I was kind of thinking of my grandma when doing it because she had 2 spare bedrooms in her house and they both had 2 twin beds inside of them. So I decorated the bedrooms in this house sort of like that with the 2 twin beds, but her house was way cuter. She had like an apple themed bedroom. So yeah, it had the 2 twin beds, but it also had just apple stuff everywhere. Like anytime she ever saw a little apple trinket, she would have it and then put it inside of that room. This house does not have that. This house is a little bit more like fancy rich person's twin bedroom, you know? I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how the backyard was gonna look. Well, backyard is not the right word. The back porch, which becomes the whole backyard because there is no yard. I kind of wanted it to be a little bit weird. Like the shape of the house is a little bit funky. It's got some weird balconies and some weird bump outs and a lot of deck in the back. And so I was okay with it looking a little bit weird, but it took me some time to figure out what way I wanted it to be a little bit weird. So we're gonna be going back and forth a lot trying to figure out the size of the porch and stuff. What I end up doing actually in the end is having like a sunken down extra bit of the porch because I wanted to use more of the water, but it takes me some time to get there. I spend a lot of time thinking about the other parts of the balconies and stuff first. I also painted the whole house this nice pastel yellow. It's actually a horse ranch wallpaper, but I really like that pastel shade, so I used it everywhere. And then there's gonna be a lot of cats and dogs outside, like cats and dogs fences, columns, windows. I used that pretty much everywhere. Cats and dogs is very much this sort of build style though. It's like perfect for this kind of thing. So I really liked how it all worked together. I really love that cats and dogs fence. I think it is so cute, and it has one of my favorite columns in the whole game as well. I think my only gripe with the exterior of this house is that I had to use horse ranch wallpaper. I really like it, but I wish that we had more pastel siding from other packs and like in the base game, because there are a couple yellow sidings in the base game, but the wider one is is leaning a lot more cream than yellow. It isn't really a true yellow. And the skinnier one is way too vibrant. It's not really pastel. And I find that kind of frustrating. I have this problem a lot when I'm building in The Sims 4. I just always want more pastel colors, and we don't have enough of them. They've definitely been doing a better job of it in recent packs. Like lately we've been getting some more options, but overall we're in desperate need of more pastels, especially in the base game, because the base game is still really sitting in 2014 with the like vibrant colors. And those are fun sometimes, but you don't always want it to be neon, you know? And the base game just only has so many swatches, so it ends up having base game houses all look kind of similar at this point. So anyway, I'm doing the windows now, obviously using cats and dogs windows around here, and I had a really hard time with the front door part because the front is a little bit weird. It has that kind of like L-shaped porch, and so I tried a few different door options. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I ended up using a medium wall height cats and dogs door right there on the short wall, so it's technically a little bit too tall. It like clips the tiniest bit into the upstairs, but if you cover it with a bed or like a piece of furniture, you can't really tell because it basically is short wall height. It like fills the full short wall. It'd be short on medium wall height, but this happens all the time where the wall heights they assign to items are a little bit off. Like that door could be like the teeniest little bit shorter and then be a perfect short wall height door, but I used that there. And then I tried to go in and put some shutters from Horse Ranch in a couple of places. I really didn't know if I liked it or not, but I decided to stick to it. Not everywhere, but just on a couple of the windows. I also had this almost like sunroom accent piece using some of the base game windows in that front room area. That actually ends up becoming the primary bedroom. So we've got that there in the front. I used the Desert Luxe kit, big open sliding glass door in the back a couple times. I have some rounded windows and some like half arched windows from cats and dogs. This is why I like cats and dogs so much. It's a great example of having a full window set. That pack has so many windows and they all match each other, so you can really mix and match with the styles. Recently in packs, they've been doing kind of like a half and half build style thing. So we got like 2 window sets in Enchanted by Nature, one that's a little bit mossy and then one that's kind of like a whimsical curved wood. And I really like them both. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the windows in that pack, but it's also really nice to get packs like this one with cats and dogs where all of the windows are interchangeable. So when you have this many different sizes of window, it fills up a giant house like this so nicely. And you compare it to things like Wedding Stories that came with only 2 windows, and that's just so hard to use on an entire house because there's only 2 different sizes. If there was like 2 more size windows in that pack, it would be perfect. Well, it actually does have more windows. It has 2 shuttered windows. The other ones are all like stained glass, and I prefer the shuttered ones. So in my mind, there's only 2 windows in that pack. I just love to have big, like full sets of windows in this game. Seasons is a good option for that too. It's got the same set, but like loads of different sizes. And they're kind of nice and neutral too. So they work on multiple different styles of builds as well. Sometimes the windows we get in recent packs are very specific. Like Enchanted by Nature has those mossy windows. They are so cool. Those are awesome, but also they work in very specific circumstances. Like I probably wouldn't use those windows on a house like this, you know, because it wouldn't match or work really. But anyway, I gotta stop ranting about windows in Sims builds. I've done this same discussion in so many videos. We're doing the landscaping right now, and the landscaping came together extremely quickly because again, there isn't a lot of ground to cover on this lot. A lot of it is water, so we just have plants in the very front. I used a pretty good mixture of island living landscaping. We've got like some low-lying grass at the bottom. I've got some palm trees and some pretty pink flowery trees. Island living always has had some of my favorite landscaping in the entire game. I just love this kind of tropical sort of look. I also live in Florida, so it's possible that it just like reminds me of home in real life, so that's why I like it. I like these palm trees a lot better than the base game ones. They're kind of like different kinds of palm trees, but this style is my preference of palm tree. Like the shorter one that's very wide, that is my favorite palm tree in the entire game. You can see it on the right side of the house, kind of like right here above my face. I really like how that one looks. But that pretty much covers the entire floor plan and like all of the exterior decisions that we were trying to make. In just a second, we're gonna get back on the inside and start working on the furnishings of the house. I know I haven't discussed the floor plan at all yet, so I can show you that a little bit better once we get into the interior. It just goes by so quick when I'm doing it in the speed build. It's easier once we're furnishing because it's a little bit slower as we're looking at it. You will see a couple weird pieces of furniture for a second, like through those windows. That's because when I do the floor plan, I like to put some furniture in just so I can visualize where stuff will fit. but then I delete it. So I don't keep that weird zebra rug that you might have seen for a second there. It was there very briefly, but it really stands out, so you might have noticed. That's why I wanted to address it. We're doing the kitchen first, and the kitchen, I love the shape of this kitchen. I love the like light beachy, almost sandy color with the white countertops, but my gosh, I wanted to use the Island Living counters so bad. I really wanted to fit them in here, but Island Living does not have any upper cabinets. It has a couple like specialty shaped shelves instead. They almost look like skinny cabinets, but they're like open shelving as well at the same time. And they come in 3 very specific sizes, and it just did not work inside of this house. I figured that this house needed to have like a very suburban almost kitchen because somebody's granny renovated this in like 2011. So I wanted it to be sort of like that style. So I ended up swapping out those Island Living counters for the base game ones instead. I actually looked at the ones from Jungle Adventure for a second too, but the Jungle Adventure ones have so many drawers. It's like all drawers. So there's 4 or 5 drawers on each cabinet. And if you put it across an entire kitchen, it looks like so much. It's nice to have drawers in a kitchen, but you don't want to have only skinny drawers. They're like all the size of a cutlery drawer. So where are you gonna put like your pots and pans or like anything bigger that isn't like super flat? So it makes it hard for me to use that Jungle Adventure counter set because it's just so repetitive. This style of cabinet is repetitive too, but it feels less bad because they have like a cabinet and a drawer. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, I have a little bit of open shelving in the top corner of the kitchen. We've got the Home Chef Hustle fridge and stove in there. And then we have like a little breakfast nook. That's actually the only dining space in the whole house. I wanted to have a formal dining room, but I decided to put a playroom instead. So we have this 5-seater table right in front of these windows in the kitchen. That would be such a nice place to sit and eat. Imagine like it looks out at the ocean from that window. It would be so beautiful right there. I always think about the views outside of windows in my Sims builds because so many of the worlds are so pretty. Like it's so nice in the environment almost always in every single world. So I'm always thinking like, wow, imagine the view outside of this bedroom. Meanwhile, the Sims do not care at all. Like it doesn't matter in the slightest. Their view could be a brick wall. It has absolutely no effect at all in game. They can't even look out a window if they tried. It's not even possible. You know, in The Sims 2, they can look out windows. They do it autonomously sometimes. And I didn't really play The Sims 2 as a kid. I was a little bit late to it. I played The Sims 3 when I was like 9, right when it came out. But I missed out on The Sims 2 era. I've played it as an adult, but I didn't play it really when I was young. So I didn't even know about that in The Sims 2 until kind of recently. And it just completely shocked me in a good way. I thought it was so cool watching my Sims look out the window. Part of me wants to say that I would like to see that in The Sims 4 as like a fun autonomous interaction. But I also know that when you give them more autonomous interactions, they get kind of weird about it. You know how they're constantly grabbing water for themselves? They would be doing that, but like constantly staring out the window. It always sounds better in theory than it probably actually would end up being. But right now we're doing the living room. I kind of finished the other part of the downstairs space, and I'm putting a couch and like a little seating area. We have a TV over here, and I used this rug from Horse Ranch. I think it's technically supposed to be mountains, but I also kind of can see it looking like waves on that rug. It's obviously kind of ambiguous on purpose. So I used that here, and we're pretending that it's like a beachy wave covered rug. And then that picture frame above it is actually a frame TV from Bella Goth's kit. I completely forgot this, but that TV has like a beachy ocean view swatch. So I used that in here. I wasn't super set on the frame. I thought the gold frame was maybe a little bit much in here. I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more plain, but I liked the picture so much that I had to use it. It's funny because I don't really picture like beachy stuff and Bella Goth as going together very well, but it does have that beachy picture from her kit, so I used that. And then I wanted to use these pictures. These are debug pictures from Island Living. They have some like underwater ocean pictures that you can take. I really like them because there's like pictures of fish and schools of fish and dolphins and things like that, but they only have the black frame. They don't let you change the frame color at all. So I had the same problem where the content of the picture was so good, but the frame didn't quite match what I wanted. If I could have a white frame or like a light wood frame, even if it could be gold to match the other gold one that I didn't like that much, that would be perfect. But you can't change it. It's stuck like that. I even tried to do one of those things where you like size down a different picture and then use that frame and like multi-layer them together. I don't know if that makes sense, but you can kind of like delete the wall wall and then scoot the first picture into the wall to hide the frame. Anyway, I tried that. It didn't really work with these ones either. I would love to be able to change the frames on that thing. I don't know if they would ever go back and add that anymore because Island Living has been out for so long. So they probably won't let us change those pictures anymore. And if I had to choose one thing to get refreshed from Island Living, it would not be the picture frames, it would be mermaids. But the picture frames are a little bit more doable for them. So I don't know. I think this about the paintings in game too, like the base game painting skill. If we could just change the color of the frame on those paintings, because it always is black. It's either no frame or black frame. And you can change regular photos to have like a selection of a few different colors, the pictures that you take in game. So why don't they have that same feature for these pictures or for the paintings? I would love to decorate with paintings that my Sims make more often, but I always get a little bit thrown off by the black frame. It just doesn't always work in a house. Now, the other thing that I used inside of this house that was a little bit controversial in my Twitch chat was this Finding Nemo themed piano. This is the Growing Together piano, and it's got a few special swatches on it that are like fancy painted, and I don't normally use them very often. It's kind of hard to make them work in a lot of spaces, same as like some of these paintings. I really like them. They're just very specific, so it's kind of hard to make it work because if you use that, it kind of determines the color scheme of the whole room, right? But it was like covered in this fish painting. It was blue. It had like some coral decor on it. And I felt like maybe it worked in here. And I kind of like the idea of saying maybe the grandkids painted it or something. So I'm sorry if you hate that piano. I actually ended up really liking it, so I stuck to it. So you can see downstairs, this front room becomes the primary bedroom. It also has an ensuite bathroom in it. I cut out the bathroom decorating because I spent way too long trying to figure out where to put the furniture in there. It was kind of ridiculous. It was like an hour in real life of me doing bathrooms. Like, you don't need to see that in here. But I'll show you a tour at the very end of the video. I'm showing you this part though because I'm using a lot of for rent furniture in this bedroom. I like that sort of sandy colored wood and the blue on it because it feels very beachy, that stuff. And I really like this for rent canopy bed, so I use that in here. I put a tea tray in the window so they can sit and drink their tea right there. They've got a for rent dresser and some nightstands and also a bookshelf in here. It's not a very fancy room. This room is the most blue suburban out of the entire house. Like, this is very much giving blue suburban, but I also think that the rich grandparents who live here are kind of also giving blue suburban, but that's their entire bedroom. And then this little room off the front door, I thought about making into an office at first. And then I was like, you know what? No, let's make it a playroom for the grandkids. So we're gonna put a bunch of toys in here and kind of decorate it all cute like that. This would be so cool. Like, imagine in real life if your grandparents had a house like this and they had a playroom, they've got extra bedrooms for you to stay in, it's a mansion, it's on the water, like literally on the water. This would have been so cool. But in this playroom, I used the laundry day rug right there. I've got things like a dollhouse. I think I put a teddy bear and like maybe some extra toys and things. I don't really often put playrooms in my builds, but I need to do it more because I really like this. I think it's super realistic too to have a playroom in a big family house. And you always feel kind of bad giving the best toys just in one of the kids' rooms. This way they can all share stuff so you don't have to buy the same thing more than once. Because like, do you need to have more than one science table in each kid's room? Probably not. But then they could all use it inside of this room. And the dollhouse is so big, like it's kind of hard to fit in bedrooms sometimes. I did size it down one in here, but even then it's still kind of big, so it's nice to have a dedicated space for it. And you know what else? Every time I put a playroom in a build, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing this more. I'm gonna do it in way more builds than this. And then guess what? I don't do it again for like 6 months. So this is my twice yearly playroom inside a Sims house. But we're going upstairs now. This hallway also has kind of playroom energy, but more for like older Sims because I have like a games table and some things like that up there. I also put those kind of cool fish wall hangings above the staircase. That fish item reminds me so much of my parents' house because in their like entryway of their house, they have a little fish thing on the wall and it's very similar. It's like a metal fish item. There's this kind of small, this one is huge, but I put 2 of them inside of this house because it's so perfect, like a fish wall hanging inside of the beach house. Yes, perfect. They've got a fish tank up here. They've got some more of the island living fish pictures. They've got a fish ceiling light from For Rent. It's kind of like the fish room up in this space. There were some people in my Twitch chat that didn't love the games table I used because it's a little bit like rustic or like weathered looking, but I did it anyway, and we can say it's driftwood or something like that. And then I'm taking a quick break from the inside and I'm going to the back patio for a second. We'll come back and we'll finish the upstairs bedrooms, but I wanted to do the outside first. So I started with a bar and I kind of like tucked it underneath the windows over there. We have some really pretty yellow lounge chairs. Those ones come from the Riviera Retreat kit and I used them a few times. And then I was trying to figure out where I could put the ladder because your Sims can use that ladder to get down into the water to swim in the ocean, but it just looks kind of weird and it like fits strangely with my balcony. So I went back and forth a lot on where to put that. I think it ends up just being off to the side a little bit, but I was being really annoying about how I was gonna fit it all in. And I kept turning on and off that move objects sheet just so I could test that it would work. There are a few things that are just helpful to place without move objects on so that you can be a little bit more sure that it fits properly and it functions properly. That ladder is one of them. Also, those cats and dogs dog obstacle course things, they can get so funky with move objects cheats. So if you're gonna build one of those, I would not use cheats just for that part because you wanna make sure it's placed far enough apart from each other. Anyway, I've got a grill down here. I've got a little table. I put some plants. I don't have a real backyard like I keep saying, so I put some landscaping inside of planter boxes back here so it would look like we had some more greenery in this area. This is just regular base game plants in a few different base game planter colors. This is one of those things that I'm kind of jealous of. Like, could you imagine sitting out here with your family? They've got a pizza oven outside. Imagine making pizza in this fancy pizza oven and like sitting out on the water to eat it. This would be a great place to visit, but I don't know if I would ever want to actually own something like this in real life. Like, the risk of hurricane is too great. It scares me too much. There are a lot of houses that are like on stilts on the beach, and even that, I don't know if I could do it. I don't even like the beach that much, so I wouldn't want to live there. Anyway, I'm putting some more of those plants in the front of the house too. So we've got just a couple things like some flowers. I put a telescope upstairs. There's a chess table somewhere on one of the balconies. We've got some seating and stuff. I was kind of just trying to put some skill building objects around the place up here. I think the front just has some rocking chairs, but I could be wrong. I guess we'll see once I place them. It's always kind of funny to watch this back because, oh, there are rocking chairs. There you go. And I cut it out for some reason. I don't know why. It's kind of funny to watch it back because I obviously remember building this and I know what I've built, but there are also some things that I thought I might have placed, or maybe I placed and forgot that I changed, or there's things that I'll watch it back and be like, ooh, why did I do that? I wouldn't do that now. But anyway, this is the first of the kids' bedrooms. This room has kind of a weird layout because I wanted to have the two beds, but I needed to have a clear access path to where the closet is on the side. So I ended up using that Jungle Adventure mirror because it's pretty skinny and then it's also big, so it takes up a lot of space. And then I also put a couple of toys in here. So I had a big stuffed toy cat in this room, had a little poof to sit on. They had some like flower pictures and also one of those little kids bookshelf items. That's one of the base game ones that's like baby books. And then this last kids room is a little bit nicer because it's got an ensuite bathroom, but I think I only put one single bed in here because it's kind of a weird shape. So it was hard to fit the two single beds. You couldn't even really fit a double bed because the walls were just so tight. It also has 3 doors, so that doesn't help because it's got the hallway door, the bathroom door, and the balcony door. So that makes a lot of those walls not useful for putting furniture on. This is a debug eco lifestyle bed, so I put that one in the corner and then I kind of just filled it up with some nice matching furniture as well. I used this rug that's actually from the Refined Living Room kit and it's so good. It's one of my favorite rugs. I love that kit, honestly. It's got some great furniture in it. I think I put a computer in here though, so that's nice for the kids to have access to. That also reminds me of going to my grandparents' house. I used to be like obsessed with writing when I was a kid. I don't write as much anymore, but I was like, I'm gonna be an author when I grow up. So I would write all the time when I was a kid and I would use my grandpa's laptop. So I'd be like sat at his desk at his house writing. Nothing good. I mean, it was like random little short stories. And then I would print them out because they had a printer and I wasn't allowed to print things at my parents' house because it's expensive to waste paper and ink. But my grandpa would let me print stuff. So I remember thinking that his house was the coolest thing in the entire world because he had a computer and a printer that I could use. So I'm projecting that onto this house for these Sims. The kids get to use grandma's printer. Anyway, this is the office. This is is also kind of fitting that vibe. It's kind of cool because it's like upstairs on that 3rd level. It's not very big, but it's got enough space for a wall of bookshelves. They have a desk. I also put another fish tank up here. There's a big dog bed. And then the balcony off this floor is where that chess table goes, because it wouldn't be a Simsie build without a chess table. I had to make sure I put one in, and it actually kind of makes sense being off the office. But that's the entire house. That's like the whole place finished. I've shown you almost everything except for a couple bits of the hallways and the bathrooms. So what I want to do now is go back into the game and give you a tour of the fully finished product, and then I'll also show you how to download it off the gallery. So as a reminder, we're on that lagoon look lot in Sulani. It's right next door to the beach if you're looking for it. On the gallery, it's called Sand Dollar Cottage, which is what I think the rich grandma who lives here would have named it. It costs 116, almost 117,000 simoleons, and it uses so many packs, almost 3 full pages of packs actually. So I apologize for that as well, but it was worth it because it looks cute. If you place it down, this is what it'll look like when you first load in. The front is pretty simple outside, like there isn't a lot of yard, like I was saying, so it's mostly just plants. We do have a trash can and also a mailbox right here, and they've got this nice staircase to take you upstairs. So I'm gonna go in and show you around the inside of the house first. There's not much going on this front porch area. I did leave it a little bit blank because I was thinking about, if you play with Parenthood, I always have school projects and there's like nowhere to put a school project. So maybe right here, your Sims could use it. It's just nice to have a little bit of open space. Maybe like a yoga mat could go there, you know, that kind of thing. You just need some room for whatever kind of skill your Sim decides to pursue. But when you first come in, there's like a little entryway table. This is a beach painting from the kids room stuff pack. And then we also have that Nemo piano right here that I was telling you about. Off to the left is the little kids playroom area. They've got a couple different toys and skill building things. I like having a space like this because if you played here, you could also delete it and then put like the toddler slide temporarily and then change it out as they're growing up. But this one hopefully works for multiple age groups right now. If you come further in, this is the living room space. They have that ocean wave rug. They've got a ceiling fan. This is that really beautiful frame TV. I cannot believe that this is a TV, by the way. It's really expensive though. It's like almost 4,000 simoleons. It's got a handful of kind of nice swatches. There's like a sunset one. This one's just yellow. There's a cat. There's roses. I also put some clutter on this shelf. These are message in a bottle items from the wedding pack, and I sized them up. And this is like a conch shell that you can find in Sulani. There's also a bathroom downstairs right here. Kind of has like a little beachy green sort of color to it. I did make sure I put a pet bowl, so they've got that. And then off to the right, there's kind of like a sitting area across from the hallway. This is a lot of hall space right here in this central section. But way on the other side, we have the kitchen and we also have the dining table. This is the view that I was telling you about earlier. I try not to make it too cluttered because I figured this person is probably very neat and they don't leave things out on their counter. But we do have a couple of open shelves and like some useful things like the knives and the utensils and everything out already. This is like a second little hallway. I used the same beach picture again right here, but it had to be done. And I put the closet. This is a get together closet and your Sims can woohoo in it. You don't really need it, but I wanted to fill the space somehow and I like having a closet space. And then in this front section, this is the primary bedroom. Why are the lights placed like that? Oh my gosh. I'm mad that I didn't move them. That's embarrassing. When I'm building, I'll kind of just like place loads of lights around so I can see, and then I usually delete them or like adjust them to fit the space better at the end, but I clearly did not in here. But it's a pretty simple room. It kind of just looks like this. My favorite part is this tea set right here by the window. They don't have a water view from this room, but like the view is still amazing of all the plants. So they've got that. They also have this ensuite bathroom right here. It's kind of long and skinny, and it also is right in the front. I don't always love to have bathrooms right in the front like that with huge windows because it feels a little bit impractical. Because look, you can see the toilet just straight on as you're coming up to the house. And I didn't even put curtains, but I don't like how the curtains look, so we're just gonna pretend that it doesn't matter. I mean, it is The Sims, so it doesn't matter, but when you go upstairs, this is that hallway again. This is the fish hallway with like the games table and the fish and the fish and the fish, but it's kind of just like a place to sit. It's got loads of plants everywhere too. This front room is the first kids room that has the 2 beds inside of it. They also have a tiny closet. I thought about making this into a bathroom, but we had so many bathrooms already that I decided against it, and I put some closet storage in here instead. We have another bathroom in the hallway up here. It's a really weird shape, like really strange shaped bathroom, but I think it works out because you walk in with the sinks being right here. We've got a custom shower from the sleek bathroom kit over here. There's a toilet, again, right in the front of the house. So it's kind of a weird shape, but I think that it worked with the furniture that I put in there. Oh, I didn't show you this. This is the balcony off the kids' room. They have those rocking chairs. They've got lemonade and also They have a telescope so you can die. And then way over here, this is the other kids' room. They have the desk and the computer. They've got some art stuff. They also have a balcony. It has just some planter boxes and an easel. Cause imagine doing a paint from reference right here. Look at that. It's amazing. Sulani is so cool. This sim does have an ensuite bathroom right here though. There is also another balcony facing the back that everybody can access. It's got yoga and some lounge chairs. And then if you go upstairs again, this is that upstairs little hallway space. It has like the office and the pet bed and like chess and everything like that. And then all the way back downstairs, this is the rest of the back of the house. They have a bar, a pizza oven, some towels on display, a place to sit and eat, a grill, and then this is how they can get down into the water. I also put a boat back here so you can go boating. I always forget about this part of island living. I need to use that more because I don't really ever have my Sims use the boats, but that's the entire house. It is 3 stories, so very big, maybe 4 or 5, because you could possibly use that upstairs or even like the playroom if you needed to as an extra bedroom. You could just put a door instead of the arch. But it's currently furnished as a 3-bedroom house. And hopefully you like it because I had a lot of fun building this. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna wrap it up right here though, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Oh my gosh, I meant to talk about how I went whale watching in real life in this video and I forgot about it. Okay, next speed build, it's gonna make less sense because it won't be on the water anymore. But I'll tell you the story then.